when you take a look at this trade, who won on this side? Is it the Dallas Mavericks or is it the Lakers?
It's the Dallas Mavericks.
Breaking news out of the NBA, the Mavericks are expected to fire general manager Nico Harrison at 10 a.m. Central Time.
I feel like they got robbed of actually seeing the end, seeing this through, seeing Luka develop, into hopefully a champion one day, and it feels like they never got to see the end to this. So this was very heartbreaking, and but now it's I think it's time to...
Dirk Nowitzki, a player who gave Dallas nearly 20 years of dedication, finally reached a breaking point and publicly shared his frustration, something he almost never does. His comments on Tuesday sounded less like criticism and more like a goodbye message to a front office that, in his view, completely lost direction. And honestly, he has a point. Earlier in the season, things were supposed to be looking up for Dallas. The Mavericks had just been in the NBA Finals. Luka was playing at a superstar level, and the roster seemed balanced with size, defense, athletic players like Gafford and Lively, and Klay Thompson added for shooting. The team started strong, going 14-3 heading into Christmas, and everything seemed to be clicking until Luka got hurt. That injury ended up being his last appearance for Dallas, because general manager Nico Harrison chose to reset the team and traded him to the Lakers, leaving fans stunned.
It just made no sense. It made no sense to them, and really there was no explanation for it either. You go to the finals the year before, you give up all these assets to build really the team around Luka.
Superstar leads you to the finals. The team is finally finding its rhythm. Fans are excited. And instead of building on that momentum, the front office trades him away for Anthony Davis, a player who has dealt with injuries for years. Here are the trade details. The Lakers received Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. Dallas received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Some fans tried to convince themselves it might work if Davis stayed healthy, but honestly, Dallas already knew the risks and what happened next. Exactly what everyone except Nico seemed to expect. Anthony Davis arrived in Dallas and started struggling physically almost right away. Out of a possible 42 games so far, he's only played 14, and even that is misleading because he left 2 of those early. So he has technically completed only 12 full games in a Mavericks jersey. 12 games. And on top of that, he still has not played 5 straight games for Dallas, not even once. Meanwhile, Kyrie Irving has not stepped on the court all year, and Klay Thompson looks like a much different version of the player he used to be. The team that was supposed to chase a championship is now simply fighting to stay in the playoff race. When Dallas announced on Tuesday that they had finally moved on from Nico Harrison, Dirk Nowitzki quickly spoke up about the situation. He said this change should have happened months earlier, not halfway through the season when the team was already struggling. He mentioned that from the summer, there were distractions, tension, the feeling that something wasn't right, even before the season started. The strongest moment came when he said the trade never made sense and nobody ever gave a clear reason for it. When he was asked why the move had to happen, Dirk didn't hold back. After spending 21 years as the quiet leader and a respected face of the franchise, even he couldn't defend the decision. He explained that Dallas spent years building around Luka, making smart moves, improving the roster with defenders, shooters, and players who fit perfectly around him. They fixed the weaknesses that showed up in the finals, and the fans in the city were excited again. Then, right when the team finally had everything working, Harrison tore it all apart with a move that didn't line up with the direction the team had been building toward.
The leadership that we have is really elite, and you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
Washington straight line drive.
And so the Pelicans. Black turns down the 3. Oh! Klay Thompson lost it. So at this point, the mission is obvious.
Fire Nico! Fire Nico! Fire Nico!
Dirk said the fans feel cheated. And he's right. They never got to see how Luka's story in Dallas would have ended or whether he could become a champion with the team that developed him. That opportunity disappeared, and it was their own front office that made the decision. But Dirk's frustration wasn't only about losing Luka. It was also about what Dallas received in return. Anthony Davis has a long history of injuries, and his contract is set to weigh the franchise down for years. He's earning $54 million right now, rising to $58 million next season, then $63 million in 2027, and he'll still have one of the top contracts in the league by 2028. It's a huge commitment for a player who has struggled to stay on the court consistently. Davis is now in his mid-30s and well into his 15th season, and even during his earlier years in New Orleans, he wasn't able to consistently lead those teams deep into the postseason. Now, with more years, more physical wear, and more setbacks, the concerns around his reliability have only grown. and this is supposed to be the foundation of a championship contender. But it just doesn't make sense. The surprising part is that Anthony Davis's trade value might already be as high as it will ever be again. Because if Dallas keeps him for another year or two, no team will want a contract that large. They'd be paying a 35-year-old player over $60 million while hoping he can stay available. The comparison to Kawhi Leonard is hard to ignore. Both are incredibly talented when healthy. Both move from team to team, and every season starts with high expectations before injuries interrupt everything. The Clippers lived through this for years with Kawhi. Lots of potential, but not enough time on the court when it mattered. If Dallas keeps Anthony Davis through 2027 and 2028, they could end up in a similar situation, and Dirk sees it coming, which is why he's speaking out now. But the situation with Davis is only part of a larger issue. This Mavericks team doesn't have a clear identity. Their veteran core, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson, are all over 30 and dealing with health concerns, while their young players like Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively, and Max Christie are all under 23. It feels like two completely different timelines trying to function as one team.
Mavs legend, I know that your phone has been blowing up. Why did this move have to happen?
Well, I think there's just too many distractions, too much going on to keep going this way. This move should have probably happened this summer, honestly. I didn't want this negative energy and this black cloud over the Cooper Flagg era, but here we're
in the NBA. Mixing two different timelines never works. You can't try to win a title with older veterans while also trying to develop young players at the same time. Teams built around stars in their 30s rarely win championships now. And teams that try to compete while rebuilding almost always end up falling apart, which is exactly what's happening in Dallas. They're relying on veterans who can't stay consistently available, while also expecting their young players to grow into future leaders. For fans, it's clear what needs to happen. The Mavericks should move on from the veteran era, build around Cooper Flagg and the young core, and keep only the players who still have long-term value. Kyrie Irving is the one veteran worth holding on to, because he can still play at a high level and guide the younger players when healthy. Klay Thompson is no longer the same player he once was, and keeping him doesn't help a rebuild. And Anthony Davis should be traded as soon as possible. His value is still decent now, but it won't stay that way if injuries continue. Moving him would bring in young talent and draft picks the team can build around. Cooper Flagg isn't meant to be Luka 2.0, and that's okay. The Mavericks simply need a fresh direction and a clear long-term plan. He doesn't need to be another. Luka Cooper Flagg has the talent to become a future all-star and a real franchise leader in his own way. And the truth is, Dallas fans don't have a deep connection to Anthony Davis. He's been on multiple teams and feels more like a temporary piece than someone who represents the city. That's why moving on from him now and building around Flagg and the young core makes far more sense. Dirk's recent comments weren't just basketball opinions, they were about honoring the fans, the city, and the franchise he dedicated 20 years to. When he said the front office should have made changes earlier, he was calling out the trade that reshaped the team for the worse, creating the negative atmosphere he mentioned. Fans didn't just lose a star, they lost a future that felt like it finally belonged to Dallas. And as Dirk reminded everyone, this fan base is loyal, passionate, and won't just accept decisions that set the franchise back. Dirk spent 21 years giving Dallas everything, and the fans supported him through every high and low, so they deserved better than seeing Luka's journey cut short by a trade that never made sense. Instead, the front office panicked after one injury and made a move that set the team back, leaving the Mavericks without direction or identity. Dirk said the team needs support, but fans can only get behind a roster that knows what it stands for. Firing Nico Harrison was a necessary first step, but the next GM has to be honest about where the team is and make tough decisions, including moving Anthony Davis while he still has value, letting go of older players who don't fit the future, and fully committing to the Cooper Flagg timeline with Kyrie as the main veteran leader. Dallas has to choose one path: rebuilding with the young core, because trying to live in two eras never works. If the franchise wants to regain trust and compete again, it needs a clear plan, tough choices, and a team built around the players who represent the future. Dirk didn't want to call out the organization he loves, and you could hear that in his voice, but someone had to say it. There was sadness, frustration, and disappointment in Dirk's voice. But someone had to speak up and hold the front office accountable for one of the most baffling decisions the league has seen in years, trading Luka Doncic less than a year after a finals run, right when the team was finally clicking, and replacing him with an injury-prone veteran on a massive contract. Moves like that are exactly how GMs get fired, and now Nico Harrison is gone. The black cloud is lifting, but the damage is already done and will take years to repair. Mavericks fans deserve to watch Luka grow into a champion in Dallas, not end up with Anthony Davis playing 12 games in half a season, Kyrie sidelined, Klay Thompson running on fumes, and a front office that blew up the future for a gamble everyone else saw coming?